Good evening. I am Dawn Hawkins Nixon, Associate Director for Sustainability Division in the Prince George's County Department of the Environment. While I'm also the chair of the Prince George's County Climate Action Commission, my participation in the meeting this evening is in the capacity of DOE personnel, as this meeting is not a Climate Action Commission meeting. Thank you for investing your time and giving your attention to this important planning process. Your participation will help to shape a robust and implementable climate action plan that will effectively lead to a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, as well as prepare for and build resilience to community change impacts. We will get started in a few minutes. In the meantime, let's have a quick refresher on using Zoom.
Hi, everyone. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Thumbs up. Awesome. Okay. So thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your evening to be with us today on this Zoom call. While most of us have been doing virtual meetings for over a year now, it may be a new experience for some. So for this public meeting, we wanted to do a quick Zoom refresher. The red record light in the top left corner of your screen means that we are recording this session. We will be recording both the main room and all the breakout rooms. In addition, you'll go ahead and see that there is the mute and unmute button. Please feel free to use this. For the love of all things good, stay on mute unless you are actively trying to speak up. We don't need to know what you are ordering for dinner with your family this evening, so go ahead and use that liberally. Also, you can go ahead and use start and stop video. If you need to get up or walk away, feel free to stop your video. If you want to see who else is in the room, go ahead and click on view participants. And then make sure you get really acquainted with the chat feature today. We have a lot of folks attending today's meeting, and so we really want to make sure we get to hear from everybody. So use the chat feature to share your questions, ask, make comments, or just have discussions with your fellow attendees. We will be reading all of these chats, and we do have various county representatives and subject matter experts in today's meeting. So feel free to ask away, and we'll have people answer you in real time. If you need Spanish interpretation, please go ahead and click the little globe button and then pick on the Spanish option. We do have 2 interpreters today to make sure that we can accommodate any other language needs. And last but not least, go ahead and get comfortable with the reactions button. If you'd like to go ahead and speak either now or in breakout rooms, you're welcome to raise your hand. Or if you just want to emphasize something that another attendee said, you're welcome to go ahead and use these emojis. So with that, without further ado, I'll go ahead and hand it back to Dawn.
Hello again. At this time, I'd like to introduce Andrea Crooms, the new Acting Director of your Department of the Environment. She comes to our agency with expertise and wealth of experience in energy management and engineering, civic engagement, and environmental law, just to name a few of her areas of expertise. Her interest in reducing climate risks for county residents, recognition that investments in our environment will often yield economic and social co-benefits, and also our concern for potential climate impacts on our most vulnerable communities are indeed testaments to her fervor for climate action planning. Andrea?
Good evening. Welcome, everyone. I am so incredibly honored to have been trusted by the county executive to lead this agency, and incredibly excited to see so many members of the community have come out tonight to be a part of this conversation. Addressing climate change is a global problem, but it's also a local one. We see the risk across Prince George's every day. More children with asthma, more frequent storms that bring flooding and down trees, more invasive plants and erosion on our forest trails, less predictable seasons for the farmers growing our food. We all know that we are one Hurricane Sandy or Katrina away from extensive economic loss, property loss, or even loss of life. Prince George is unique. We need a climate plan that reflects the value that we've already put on the environment and allows it to grow even greater. We need a climate plan tailor-made for our communities, our municipalities, our neighborhoods, our schools, our businesses, our places of worship, of work, and of play. We must together shape a climate plan that looks like us. Climate change doesn't come from bureaucrats sitting in a room. It comes from the community, from engagement, from advocacy, and from voting, which is why I'm so excited that you're all here today. This is one piece, one way in which we're asking the community to shape this process and this plan so that it reflects you and what you want Prince George's to be. I'm particularly excited to welcome all of the young people who are here today. This is the county and the world that they are inheriting, and so their voices must be heard and respected in this process. That students from across the county have been involved through the school board, environmental clubs, 4-H clubs, Girl Scouts, Sunrise Hubs, and in so many more ways is inspiring. And I implore each of you to ask the young people in your lives what county they would have you leave for them, what county we could build that they would stay, work, and thrive in, what county they would continue to be proud of and fight for in years to come. I'm pleased to introduce one of those young people to you today to share her vision and priorities for this plan. Asia Gray has spent all 13 years of her educational career in Prince George's County schools. She proudly graduated from the Charles Herbert Flowers High School as part of the class of 2021. And this fall, she will be attending Columbia University in New York. Asia is the student representative on the Prince George's County Public Schools Board of Education Climate Change Action Plan Focus Work Group. Whew. And she will be sharing with us today her vision for the climate future of Prince George's County. Asia?
Hello, everybody. So first, I would like to share a quote that I feel is pretty relevant today to today's call of action. We live in a world in which we need to share responsibility. It's okay. It's easy to say it's not my child, not my community, not my world, not my problem. Then there are those who see the need and respond. I consider those people my heroes. So I would like to sincerely thank you all for coming today, whether it would be to voice your feedback or simply listen. You took an active role to be the change you want to see in the world, and that courage does not go unnoticed. You are a hero. Although I love my lengthy title of the student representative on the Prince George's County Public Schools Board of Education Climate Change Action Plan Focus Work Group, I like to think of myself in short as the voice of the people. I speak for the wonderful students in my county who are the first to feel any changes made, but often do not get an outlet to voice their feedback. As the voice of the people, it would only be right for me to voice the people's thoughts. Our work group was recently held a student forum in which we presented the students some of our intended recommendations, and here are some of the insightful messages the architects of our future shared with us. So first, Elizabeth from Parkdale High School said, after this session, I will definitely make sure to do my part by talking to others and talking to my community and for advocating for this issue, being expressive about it. Our students are ready to make this change. Advocacy is such a critical strength because it encourages others to get involved, engaged, and find their voice. Cheryl says, my biggest concern is sadly people won't help because they think climate change is not real or inevitable. And I think if we work to tell them ways that they can help, they will. We know that we are fighting a tough battle as this is a very contentious issue. However, if we work towards spreading awareness and providing tools to make change, a bright future is very possible. Maya M said, today I learned how many people want to fight against climate change, and I'm ready to fight with them and be a part of that change. That eagerness to unite and make a positive difference in this world brings tears of joy to my eyes. Although I represent the students, in no way does that mean that those above 18 can't be active in these present times to actively seek ways to help and contribute to the movement. In order to make a better future, we have to focus on working in the present. And all of you here today, regardless of age, are part of this present. We need everyone we can get. Although the recommendations and changes we seek to make are made with absolute good in mind, we need all the feedback we can get. We need all the questions, suggestions, constructive criticism, because we need our plan to be inclusive and representative of the people who live in our county. Our future needs to be as representative and diverse as possible. So I'm happy to see all the faces today of all diverse natures, and I'm happy to see that we are creating an inclusive plan. And I hope that you all today take the time to listen and voice your feedback and feel completely comfortable, because we need as much help as we're going to get. And thank you for letting me speak today.
Hello again. You may ask yourself, what is a climate action plan? This afternoon or this evening, we're going to walk you through what a climate action plan is and the details of that plan and how you, as the community, can help us further develop this plan. Next slide, please. A climate action plan is a map for implementing coordinated efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to impacts of climate change while also building resiliency to these changes. Actions to reduce emissions and prepare for climate impacts are often structured in a way to simultaneously improve quality of life and enhance economic vitality. General plan components will include a greenhouse gas inventory, emission reduction targets, climate risk and vulnerability assessment, and mitigation and resiliency strategies, as well as outreach and education. Next slide, please. Understanding the spheres of control are important or is important when thinking about what levers the county and the community have to enact change. Spheres of control inform which actions to prioritize. Next slide, please. The plan will prioritize evidence-based, actionable, and high-impact strategies. Recognizing both the existing disparities in our community and that the impacts of climate change are likely to take their greatest toll on those who are most vulnerable, the plan will prioritize actions that will result in equitable outcomes and should any action have the potential to exacerbate inequities, it will identify mitigating strategies. Next slide, please. So how did we arrive at the priority recommendations for the plan? We started with several exercises involving the community, the Climate Action Commission, technical experts, and working groups to brainstorm potential actions. Consultant scoring and working group deliberation narrowed the laundry list of actions. The Commission has approved 27 priority recommendations. These recommendations will be blueprinted in the final plan, providing the county with clear next steps to be implemented in the next 3 to 5 years. Next slide. The Climate Action Plan will include common strategies as well as recommendations, which are the tactical moves the county needs to do in 3 to 5 years, and it will show us how. Blueprints, also known as roadmaps, will outline tactical actions and measures for each recommendation. A snapshot of the blueprint template is shown on the right-hand side of this slide. Input on the steps to implementation are needed. Next slide, please. Greater detail and additional information will be collected and compiled during the blueprint process to tailor and target by priority. Next slide. And with this, I will turn the meeting over to Brandy Espinola, who will be the lead facilitator for this evening's meeting. Brandy?
Thank you, Dawn. So let's check in on the agenda where we are in today's meeting. We have received a warm welcome from Andrea and Asia. Don gave a quick refresher on the county's climate action plan process. And in just a little while, we're going to take a couple of polls to see who's in the room today. Our goal today is really to introduce the top climate actions being recommended by the county's Climate Action Commission, and to hear from you all how these actions might be implemented in Prince George's County to best serve its residents. Before each breakout session, we will do a quick overview of what topics and recommendations will be covered in each room, and then we'll provide some technical help to get you into the breakout room of your choice. At the end, we'll come back together one last time for a quick next step and wrap up. So with that said, let's find out who's in the Zoom room this evening. I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll. You all see the poll in your face? Okay. So this will be a quick polling session with about 45 seconds or until about 80% participation rate is completed for this poll. You'll see that you can scroll through. There's about 5 different questions. Go ahead and complete these all at your own pace. We're going to read through the answers once everyone has completed the poll. I'm going to go ahead and walk through some of that while you all are working on it. So how are you connected to Prince George's County? Do you live in Prince George's County, work in Prince George's County, attend school here, worship in the county, own a business in Prince George's County, shop, or none or the other? Once you've told us sort of what your connection to the county is, let us know whether you're a resident of Prince George's County. Where do you live? Are you living inside the Beltway, north above 50, outside the Beltway? Do you live in Central County between 50 and Route 4, Pennsylvania Avenue? Or do you live south, anything below Akakie and Waldorf? We also want to know sort of what is the race or ethnicity that you identify with to get a better sense of who's in the room. Are you African American or Black, white, non-Hispanic, Hispanic of various races, Asian, Native American, or more than one ethnicity? Then let us know what gender you identify as well as what age group you represent. So we're going to wait until we have about 60% of participants having participated, and then we will share those results to get a sense of who's in the room today. We're going to leave this open for about maybe another couple seconds. All right, we're going to go ahead and launch this. And see what folks said. Go ahead and cast your last sort of answers real quickly. So you should be able to see the poll results now. On your own screen, you should be able to scroll through the different polls, but we'll go ahead and talk about it real quickly. Looks like most folks who are participating today do live in the county. Many of you work in the county, about 31%. And there's only about 4%, about 2 of you all, who are guests from outside of the county. So thank you all for joining us today. For those of you who are residents of the county, we really are looking at the inner Beltway inside Route 95, and folks living in North County outside the Beltway but above Route 50 as sort of our largest participation area. We see here that we have a larger representation from white non-Hispanics in today's meeting. And we know that Prince George's County is quite diverse, and so we are certainly working on making sure we have good representation and inclusive participation. So that is certainly something we strive to sort of increase the number of folks who are from the Hispanic community, Asian community, and African American community. Unsurprisingly, the gender balance seems to be pretty even, with slightly leaning towards male representation, 53% male, 47% female. And we love to see this. So we have a good contingent of folks between the ages of 15 and 19. We're talking high school students and folks who are about to enter college. And then we have good representation from the 65 and over crew. So really why we're asking these questions is because it helps us better understand who we're reaching out to, who's getting the invitations, and helps us better calibrate how we should do future outreach in order to make sure that we really are engaging a good cross-section of Prince George's County residents. Okay, so thank you guys for participating in that poll. That will be very helpful for our future outreach efforts. We have, I think, at least one more community meeting and have several other smaller outreach opportunities while we are working on the climate action plan. So before we jump into our main breakout rooms, let's set some ground rules. This is even more vital once you get into the breakout rooms. And really, it's quite important when we're in a virtual setting because it doesn't always feel as natural as when you are in person. Okay, so no questions are off limits. We want to hear all the questions you have. Feel free to throw them in the chat box. Once you're in the breakout rooms, raise your hand and we can certainly call on you in order to address questions or comments. There's no idea that's too bold. We want to hear all your thoughts and ideas. And so please feel free to speak openly and honestly, speak from your own experience. Let the county representatives in the rooms know what you're hoping to see. Listen carefully and respectfully to each person. We really want to be making sure that we're hearing all the different perspectives and that we are being respectful and having a safe space to share ideas and comments. We have a lot of people in today's session. We have about 130 participants. And so try to keep your comments brief and stay focused on the task when you're in the breakout rooms. Also, again, we're going to really heavily rely on that chat feature. So feel free to add your comments, your questions, your ideas in that chat feature. And again, remember to raise your hand so that the facilitators can call on you if you want to say something out loud. And then last but not least, explore. We want to make sure that we're exploring differences respectfully and looking for common grounds. Climate change can be sort of, the solutions from climate change can sometimes feel contentious, or folks might have different opinions on how things should be implemented. And so we really want to make sure that we are looking for opportunities to address challenges and looking for opportunities to work together and make some good progress.
And Brandy, before we went to the breakout rooms, I just wanted to take 1 second to acknowledge a couple of the elected representatives who have joined us. Of course, we have Councilmember Dinroga, who's also a commissioner, but I've also seen that Mayor Alan Thompson of Riverdale Park has joined us, and Judith Davis of Greenbelt Council has joined us. So I just wanted to thank them for their participation.
You also have Mayor Patrick Wojahn of College Park.
Ah, thank you very much. My apologies, Mayor. Anyone else who I've missed, please feel free to let your presence be known.
Mayor Dewey of Berwyn Heights.
Thank you, Mayor Dewey. Thank you very much. Brandy.
No, thank you.
Mary Ellen.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to, the main point of today's session really is to hear from you all. We want to give you as much time as possible to talk about the topics that are of interest to you. We're going to do, each breakout room session is going to be broken up into 5 different topics. We suggest that you pick your favorite and stick to it, but you could also jump around if you would like and check out different breakout rooms. So that's up to you for sure. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first session is going to cover the Climate Action Commission's priority recommendations that address renewable energy and storage, electric vehicles, flooding, county waste, and outreach and engagement. So if you are interested in renewable energy and energy storage, right, if you're thinking about how is the county going to commit to renewable energy, will the county be putting renewable energy on their existing county-owned buildings, and what can we do to encourage and promote residential and commercial properties to adopt solar and other renewable solutions and energy systems? This is the section for you. Now, if you're more interested in transportation issues, specifically the actions that will be discussed in this breakout room will be around electric vehicles, where we're going to be deploying electric charging stations, and how are we going to accelerate the deployment of electric vehicles, both within the community in terms of residents, but also with county fleets and buses. So if you have a passion for transportation or vehicles, this might be the breakout room for you. Now, we've got a lot of questions in the registration with regards to what about trees and green infrastructure? That wasn't called out as a specific breakout room, but if that is something that you're really passionate about or interested in, the Preparing Communities for Flooding breakout session is for you. In this room, we're going to give some high-level highlights of what the county is going to prioritize over the next 3 to 5 years with regards to assessing climate impacts on all high hazard dams and thinking about flood retention capacity, and also about increasing standards and making standards and information around flood risk and mitigation programs more accessible. But for the residents in the room today, what we think that the conversation will probably focus around is really how do we increase tree canopy and planting trees amongst residential and business properties. And then how do we integrate green infrastructure and accelerate adoption of green infrastructure projects across the county to help deal with things like flooding and have co-benefits with things like heat. So if that's something that you're super passionate about, this is the room for you. The commission also put forward a recommendation specifically looking at county waste. And so from a greenhouse gas mitigation standpoint, the action really focuses on the food scraps curbside collection program in the county and how do we expand and enhance that program throughout Prince George's County. But also we wanted to take a look and start talking about plastic bag bans and bottle deposit efforts in order to reduce our plastic pollution waste. So if county waste, you know, composting is your passion, please join that room. And then last but not least, community outreach and engagement. So this is how do we actually work with community members across Prince George's County to make sure that they are understanding what's happening with climate change, having access to technical resources and financial assistance, and how do we specifically focus our efforts in Prince George's County on the most vulnerable populations. So if you are really interested in engaging with residents and trying to think about how the county should continue to do the outreach and education around climate change, this is the breakout room for you. So to recap, the rooms are going to be accelerating renewable energy and energy storage, transitioning to electric vehicles, reducing county waste, preparing for flooding, and outreach and engagement. All right, so hopefully we have most of you in the room now. Awesome, awesome. Like I was telling some of you who just came in already, we are really appreciative of you guys being flexible. I know that the technical glitches are very challenging, and so we are hopefully next round through going to be able to resolve some of those issues. Okay, So I'm going to go ahead and introduce the next round of breakout sessions. I have some colleagues who will be working on the back end to hopefully make the transition to the next section a little bit more seamless. Okay. Like I said, all the breakout sessions were recorded. So if you're in a room and you were wishing that you were able to be in 2 different places at once, it is recorded, and so you'll be able to check out what those conversations were like later on through the recording.
Do we need to change our name again, so for the next session?
That would be very helpful, and that was what I was going to say. For the second breakout session, we will be discussing, you will need to change your name. So if you could just preemptively think about where you might want to go and help us along. We're going to try to make sure that you guys can move to your own breakout rooms, but I have no faith now in the technology, given that we, weren't expecting the glitch that happened before. So
I'm sorry, I don't see where you need to change your name. Is it participants? You go there, or how do you do it?
you can change your name in one of 2 ways. You can go to participants to your name, and then if you hover over your name, you should be able to click on it, you right click on it, and then scroll down to your name or rename, and that's where you could change it. The other is if you scroll over your image in the top right corner, there should be a little blue box with 3 dots. That's another place you could do it, Susan. And we'll try to run through these topic descriptions really quickly so that we can get right into moving you guys to the discussion section. I apologize once again. Okay, so increasing energy efficiency. If you are interested in building benchmarking or trying to accelerate the number of homes and businesses implementing deep energy retrofits, change your name to efficiency, and we will move you over as soon as we can. If you are interested in reducing vehicle miles traveled, either by helping the county promote teleworking and virtual convenings, or trying to work with the county to make sure that we are increasing support for activity centers, then please change your name to Walkability. If you are really interested in building community capacity to withstand climate impacts, this might be the room for you. Change your name to Hubs. This room will focus on developing a county extreme heat strategy and assessing specific locations to help inform potential site selection of resilience hubs. And then if you are interested in sustainable food systems, we know that climate change impacts will be far reaching. And so one TAC recommendation is to promote a healthy food system. So if you're interested in discussing sort of this broad category and providing insights on what that might look like for the county, please go ahead and check out this room. Go ahead and put foods in your name. And last but certainly not least, my special favorite is county operations and planning. While these actions may not have immediate greenhouse gas emissions reductions or climate resilience benefits, they will help to shift county business so that future decision-making processes will start to incorporate climate action and climate resilience. So here we'll be talking about things like building staff capacity, tracking the actual implementation of the climate action plan, strengthening land use regulations and codes and ordinances, and building and embedding climate criteria into budget planning and processes. So that's my personal favorite. I hope some of you go ahead and engage in that discussion. So I don't want to take up any more time because I know it's going to take some time to get you guys into your room. So let's just sort of move quickly. Let's see.
Hey, it's working.
We got it to work?
Hey,
Yay!
Yeah, so I went ahead and assigned a few people while I had time, but then I think some of you might also need to go ahead and select them. I'm going to hand the reins back over to Brandy, the digital reins.
Okay, but now you guys, many of you now have options to self-select your rooms, and you can go ahead and jump into those. Is that what's going on? I love it. Love it, love it. Okay. thank you all for your patience in the first breakout session. The second breakout session hopefully was much more seamless. Thank you again for sticking with us, sticking with it, and hopefully you guys had some great discussions. I'm gonna hand it over to Dawn, who will do some closing remarks and next steps.
Hello, is my camera back on, Brandy? I
It
can't.
is not.
Okay, hold on. Somehow I lost it. Can you put it on for me or no? Did I take myself off? I'm here. Thank you, Brandy.
No problem.
Navigating. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for your robust conversation and discussion this evening. I had the opportunity to sit in and co-facilitate the breakout session on flooding. I really am impressed and energized just hearing the suggestions and the recommendations of community members who have experienced these flooding issues and who have been able to relate to us the impacts of flooding on their community. And I'm sure that in the other breakout sessions, our staff and our commissioners who helped co-facilitate these sessions also were impressed with the information, wealth of information that has been provided. So I do, again, thank you for participating this evening's meeting and sharing your thoughts and your recommendations for us. So please trust that the information that we received, the feedback that we received will be incorporated into the Climate Action Plan. We will take it and use that information to inform the blueprints, the roadmaps for the climate action priority recommendations. As a commission and the working groups that consist of members of the commission, we'll continue to meet, we'll continue to build the information that's needed to complete the climate action plan over the next several months. I do want to remind everyone that we are accepting volunteers for a resident expert panel. This panel will serve to further advise and provide feedback on the plan as we continue to move forward with the development of those recommendations. There will be a third community meeting on August 19th. We will start preparing for that meeting now. There are several platforms on which you can provide your information, your thoughts, your concerns. We have the climatepartners.org website that you can visit and you can leave comments. We also still have the virtual open house available on which you can leave comments. So I do want to encourage you to take advantage of these various websites, platforms for which you can share your information. Please continue to keep it coming as we will need that information to further develop the climate action plan. I do want to thank the climate action commissioners who were present this evening to help facilitate the various breakout sessions. So I think that I have covered everything else. Please stick around for one final poll. And again, I do greatly appreciate your time and your energy this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. As you guys are heading out for the rest of your evening, thank you again for joining us. Like I said, we did just launch a poll. It has, I think, 4 or 5 questions to get a sense of how we did. Again, we want to apologize for the technical difficulties in the breakout room sessions #1, but we got it together, and I think that hopefully you all were able to have some great discussions. We will be around if you all have any other questions you'd like to ask, or if you want to just chat about a particular idea. And for those of you who sort of got everything you needed today. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a good evening.